Hey guys, so yesterday I made this video in which I said something about the fact that I boycott lots of big companies, including the Coca-Cola company of course, and lots of people asked me like why I do that, and some people asked me to make a video on that. And since it's impossible to explain all the reasons in a little YouTube comment, I decided to make this video. Right, once again, I really don't want to sound preachy, and I don't mean to offend anyone, who, doesn't really care about boycotting things. The only reason I'm doing this is because you may not know about this stuff, and I think it's important that you do because, we rarely know everything about the companies that we buy from. But in the case of Coca-Cola Company, there's been so much dirt on them, like they're probably the worst for bad business practice out of like all companies at the moment. So yeah, so there's been actually a few things about it in the media. Unfortunately not really in the mainstream media. I'll tell you why later. It's because, Coca-Cola is a big powerful company that can obviously make sure that the public doesn't find out about all the terrible things it does. But I mean, obviously a lot of people know about this, but in case you don't, I'll let you know. I even made a little list because there's so much. First of all, a big thing, the documentary Killer Coke is about this. Now, Coca-Cola actually had 8 union leaders in Colombia killed and tortured some other workers. Basically they did this because, once workers unionize, they're able to demand sort of more from the company, like higher wages, better working standards and everything. So to prevent that from happening, Coca-Cola just went and killed 8 union leaders. I mean, that is, I think, something really inexcusable, and it was actually a big thing in the media, but, do they ever have to pay for these things? No, of course not. They're Coca-Cola. It was all really hush-hush, and no. Well, this is disturbing to me because Coca-Cola was the 5th largest donor to George Bush and his administration, after Pepsi, which were the 4th, and is also associated with like dictators around the world. So whether or not you like George Bush, he did sort of start wars. So, the fact that Coca-Cola donated to him, it's just like, why is a soft drink company, involving itself in politics? And is that something we should be worried about? I think it is, because it basically means that, if you see in a certain way, the bottle of Coke you buy is financing part, maybe a tiny part, of, a war that's going on somewhere in the world, and that is pretty shocking, I think. Then also, this is a big one, it was all over the media as well. There was a big thing about how Coca-Cola plants in India, they found that in a 3-kilometer radius around the Coca-Cola plant, all the water resources were just gone. And this was in pretty like rural, poor parts of India where people needed those water resources. But Coca-Cola just used it all for their factory. Didn't care, didn't give a damn, probably, probably sold the water back to them, bottled, with some sort of stupid name on it, So, I mean, and once again, another thing that, nobody can sort of, what is it called, bring them to justice for, So, yeah, this resulted in 20,000 people having no water to drink or do anything. While Coca-Cola only employed 50 people in the area. So, I mean, the benefit of that plant is very, very small, if not non-existent. So I think that's really an outrage. Another thing Coca-Cola don't care about, Another thing, racism. There's actually a big lawsuit against Coca-Cola for racial discrimination in their plants in America, actually. So I think that's pretty dodgy, like, I don't know, all of these things, I would feel bad buying something by Coca-Cola Company because there's just all this really dirty business in the background that I wouldn't be able to help but think about. What else? This one. Lots of sort of proponents of capitalism say things like, wow, but look how many jobs it creates. Not true. In most developing countries, Coca-Cola makes 50 times more people jobless than it employs, because it puts people out of work who are making like local, you know, soft drinks and stuff like that. As soon as Coca-Cola comes in, you know, nobody can sell their stuff anymore. So, yeah, I mean, all this bullshit about creating jobs, it's not true. It's detrimental in every way, and the only people who benefit from the Coca-Cola company really are the managers, because for example the CEO, he earns 5.5 million a year, which is 1,317 times as much as the average wage for an employee, and it's just not cool, is it? You know, it's really, you wonder, you know, and yeah, that's not all. That's by far not all. It's been found out that they've used child labor in the production of all their merchandise, you know, in certain countries, like I know in Russia for sure. And, you know, basically the biggest problem is this big, you know, company has so much power that it's really hard for the media to say anything negative about them. It's really hard for, you know, politicians to say anything negative, because they keep bribing people, they keep threatening people, and this is obviously all very much behind the scenes, but it seems pretty obvious to me, because you've got to wonder why it is proven that a company has done all these things but nobody knows about it. So yeah. So yeah, that's basically why I boycott them, because, you know, all of this, that's the price of a Coke, you know. Come to think of it, I think I stole that sentence from a documentary called The Price of a Coke. I didn't do that, like, it's just, okay, well then, you know, maybe there's no better way of putting it. That is the price of a Coke. You know, and even if you like Coke, even if you know, like other drinks that the Coca-Cola company makes, or other products, I do hope that next time you'll think about it and just, you know, think about, like, you know, the poor people that sort of lost their lives and livelihoods and, you know, water supplies and everything, just, you know, to bring the happy Western world their soft drinks. It doesn't seem right to me, and I don't think you have to be a hippie or a communist to see that it's all a little bit not cool. Another thing, if you after hearing this you do decide, you know, it's not for you, you don't want to sort of be involved in this anymore, you don't want to buy anything by the Coca-Cola company anymore, and you want to boycott them, there's a lot more by the Coca-Cola company than Coca-Cola, obviously. I mean, so many soft drinks, Fanta and Sprite and everything, every soft drink basically. So when you're buying soft drinks, you know, do look at the back of bottles for the small print which says Coca-Cola Company, Ltd, whatever. Because you'd be surprised how much is actually by them. And besides all of that, it's really unhealthy. Like, it's just full of sugar, and, you know, apparently they found some genetically modified organisms in it as well. That's weird. Also, there's aspartame in it, which is a carcinogen. So there's really no way in which soft drinks are healthy. So, you know, just, I think it's important to take care of yourself, you know? Obviously indulge in things, but, you know, is Coca-Cola or are these soft drinks really so good that, you know, you have to indulge in them against all better judgment? That's obviously for you to decide, but I think not. So, yeah, those are basically my reasons. I hope that explains things. And, yeah, I'm gonna do some other videos as well for why I boycott Nestle and why I boycott McDonald's and maybe Nike. Yeah. As I said, I wouldn't, you know, look down on anyone who doesn't boycott these things. But then again, there's always people around me in my environment who know all of this. They know I feel strongly about it. And then they buy a bottle of Coke and I say, oh, why are you buying Coke? You know exactly what, you know, what Coke does. And they say, yeah, I know it's bad, but blah. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't really like Coke as a drink. It's weird. I mean, it's like brown. Wow. But anyway, yeah, I think it's time to stop talking now. So, yeah, I hope you found that helpful. And yeah, see you soon.